the game, potentially our last game today. And starting to the bottom right of the map, we have the Prime player. He's currently looking at a 1-1 situation in the group. It is
MarineKing Prime.
8 Overlord from Curious. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
That's a weird nerves mistake or something.
I have, like, this guy, of course, is
Startail Curious.
He sends a drone really fast here.
the weirdest introduction ever.
That was weird. You know, he's probably expecting a CC first from MarineKing. He could put a hatch at the natural, but still doesn't affect the Overlord. Like, why would he make the Overlord like that? It's just a mistake. It has to be.
Yeah, there is no other reason. That has to be a mistake. I mean, he's scouting now, and he will see a barracks opening. You know, I hope actually that we're going to see gas, because I am personally... Yeah, okay, there's gas. Some Terran players will still go for barracks in the command center, and that build just isn't good enough.
It's not efficient anymore.
Either you go for the CC on the high ground, or you go into gas, but... Yeah, the build that we have there for Curious, that was definitely a misstep in the early game here. That's something that you don't want to do.
Well, the drone comes here into the main, and he's just going to add a regular hatchery. Just a mistake with the Overlord, I guess. You know, sometimes you accidentally make your pylon on 8. I mean, like, 1 out of 1,000 games, 1 out of 1,500 games, he will just do this. And you'll be like, oops, oh well.
It delays his drones a little bit, and of course it puts your timings a bit off, but it's not the end of the world. But it's definitely one of those things that you do not want to happen, that's for sure.
And it can get into your head a little bit.
Yeah. So, looking at this game, once again, if you just watch the VODs and you don't know about the situation in the group, MarineKing needs a win here. Then he has if he wins, then he has another game lined up against Swagger. If he wins that as well, he would be in the Premier League for Curious. This is already his last game in today's group. If he takes it, he will advance to the Premier League right away. If he loses this game, he still has the chance to end up in a tiebreaker between Swagger, MarineKing, and of course himself, if Swagger takes the next game against MKP. But right now, we have both of them in a matchup where they are quite strong. We have 20 maps played for MarineKing against Zerg, and he won 70% of them. But if you go down his match history, we talked about this when we had the match against Effort, it's quite a long time since he lost his last best of 3 or his last encounter against a Zerg player. He actually won the last 7 matches against Zergs. And on the other hand, when you have Curious, you see him with 16 maps played, 12 and 4. Leaves him with a 75% win ratio. Took down opponents like Ryang and Bang just recently. Not too many opponents that he faced, but a decent record here. A nice
defense there. And he should be able to save the second one. Nope, barely not. But it's worth it to get, you know, 57 of those 75 resources back rather than losing a drone. And the Reaper pressure here is very annoying, but he will not actually lose too much more. You know, I like the Curious checks to make sure there's no bunker at his third, because sometimes every now and then you'll see a Terran player bunker the third base when they put Reapers there.
That was a clutch drone kill. You could already see this extractor going up. So he kills 2 Harvesters. That's actually pretty good. For 2 Reapers in the opening, that's pretty good. That's okay.
Yeah, kills the Lings, forces the Lings. Has these little things. Right now Curious can start speed, and he does. And he actually puts 1 drone in the gas only. Double barracks as well as Hellions following up to this. So MarineKing is actually playing this one very safe. And he's also going to have a very aggressive timing to follow this up with Hellions and Marines and Stim. We see this every now and then. This is more Wings of Liberty-esque.
MarineKing needs to win here, you know, and he definitely has it in him. He's a great player and he played well so far today. What we have for Curious, on the other hand, is a pretty fast gas. That's, of course, also a result of him going up against the Reaper build. So you want to have that fast gas out there to control the Reapers and the Hellions that you will expect to come up next. And that allows you to get your creep spread. So pretty standard response here by Curious, and now even adding his second gas, roughly at 6 minutes. So he wants to go into lair. And for MarineKing, of course, we have Stim started. And with the units that we see on screen right now, with the Hellions and the Reapers, he wants to control this a little bit. He wants to just go up, force the creep back, control the movements of a Zerg player, potentially deny a third base for a little bit. But he's playing this quite passive at this point.
MarineKing is going to be starting to put on some serious aggression. As you can see, he still only has 1 gas, which means that he can't afford any Marauder production really, besides the 1 Marauder he's going to have at times. So he's going to have a few Marauders, most of the Marines off of those reactors. That's where his gas has gone so far, plus the Stem. He's not going to have E-Base for a while. He's not going to have a Starport for a while. He's just going to be sticking with Hellions, Marine pressure here, and he's going to be able to do quite a lot once Stim becomes close to finishing. And this is where the Baneling Nest for Curious needs to come into play, because if he doesn't have one of those, he might just actually die.
Yep. And there we go. Baneling Nest has been started and he needs it. But nice trap here on those Zerglings. He loses every single one of them, and now MarineKing is already moving out, and that's a pretty fast move out here. He could definitely do damage with this. He has Hellions rallied across the map, and that's just this aggression that he has been using in this matchup for a long time right now. We have the units already going across the map. The Marines are trailing behind. They're actually not moving to the top left just yet. But the Hellions alone will be able to do some damage, even with the Zerglings, with speed and on creep.
And even the Queens, and Curious makes a great choice. He goes for Spire here. He knows taking the third base is not going to happen for a really long time with all this pressure. He's also scouted with his overlords that there's additional barracks and no command center. So for him, he's just going to go for his tech first and worry about the base later, because he knows he can't hold the base. Not against this pressure, and definitely not against this follow-up that's coming out.
There come the Marines and additional Hellions, as well as Marauders. So, you know, the problem that you have if you're relying on a Spire tech is that if you're up against this many Marines with Stim, the Mutalisks will not help you. You need to have the ground force. This is why we see him building additional Zerglings and getting those Banelings out there.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty aggressive build that MarineKing has there. He's getting his first Widow Mines. He has the engineering bay. He can get those turrets back at home. But this comes all down on how much damage he can do. This is definitely going to be a cancel.
Yeah, I think the hatchery here is actually an idea of like trying to buy just a few more seconds. He knows the hatchery was never going to finish against this pressure. He saw the pressure coming with his overlords. He needs, if he tries to make the Mutas now, it's barely maybe going to work. This is actually so close here, and MarineKing just walks back, so he will get the Mutas out.
Yeah.
Nice wall here.
The wall is good, and there's also a Widow Mine in the mix. We don't see anything in terms of air defense. Only the Widow Mines. That's the only thing that he has at home. Of course, a couple of Marines as well, but still, there are no missile turrets.
None. MarineKing starts his eBay upgrades now very late. But of course, there's non-existent upgrades for Curious, who's delayed his tech. He starts +1 for the Mutas, and his Mutalisk count is going to start to grow quite rapidly.
That's definitely true, but it's not going to be easy now that MarineKing actually saw it with the Zalnaga Watchtower. He had a glimpse there, and he's going into missile turrets right away. He can also reposition his Widow Mines if he wants to. Something that he doesn't do, but he stims in. The Mutalisk with a bit of a problem here already. Only 1-2 kills. The missile turret is there. Loses a Mutalisk. That's not a good start for Curious, not at all.
Yeah, definitely not worth it there. It's the bigger problem for Curious is that this Mutalisk transition they want to go for just doesn't work out, and MarineKing walks home.
A nice reaction though by Curious, moving those Mutalisks immediately back when he sees that they are flying or trying to fly over the Marines there.
MarineKing has a great idea here with this push. He knows he has enough turrets to deal with the Mutalisk count. He's seen the Mutalisk count, so he pushes out with his army. Baneling speed, I don't think it's going to be ready. He has a lot of Banelings, but MarineKing is known for his splits.
This is so dangerous for Curious. This is really dangerous. MarineKing moving out already, getting a third base behind all of this. Scanning ahead here, forcing the creep tumors back. The active one's gone, the Widow Mine's burrowing. And now here comes Curious with his defense. The splits are good enough, and the Baneling hits. And the Widow Mine hits are really strong. 2 Queens already gone.
And the Baneling hits are mostly against Marauder. Great Hellion line up here. And it looks like he will barely push us back, but he needs Zerglings. He can't fight with the Mutalisk alone here, especially against the next wave.
The next wave is coming in, and Curious is in trouble. He's in so much trouble right now. That third base is exposed. He's already trying to pull those harvesters back, but a lot of the drones are already gone. He's taking down all of them. Not a single one left, and the third base might fall as well.
No survivors here. This base is gone. Baneling speed and +1 for the Mutas. Just a few seconds too late. Even while the larva's going down here, and
MarineKing doesn't take any prisoners today.
Absolutely not. He is crushing this game here. Curious in so much trouble. I don't see how Curious can recover. There's already a second eBay going up for MarineKing, the armory as well. He's adding more barracks. He has the third orbital on the way.
MarineKing needs to win this game. If he loses, then Curious will advance together with Dia to the Premier League, and MarineKing will be stuck in Challenger. He wants to go to another game. He wants to play his 4th game. It would be against Swagger, but to get there, he needs to take down Curious. And so far, his attempts have been great. He's going to armor upgrades. He already has the attack upgrade. We have him with the armory on the way. More missile turrets are being built. Widow Mine shots. Bam. Nice. Good. Really well done so far. And he's taken down the third base at the left side of the map that Curious was trying to build.
Yeah, he kills a reactor, but for a Muta, Not worth it. Not when that reactor had just started. You didn't lose very much time there. MarineKing's army is massive. The split here is actually not very MarineKing-esque, but still.
He doesn't lose too much. He lost a few Marines. He would have loved to save those, but it's still fine. 4 Marines against 2 Banelings and a few Zerglings. That's okay. You can live with that.
Yeah, especially when you have a 3rd orbital and you're even in worker count with your opponent, and your opponent doesn't have a 3rd hatchery.
MarineKing is only on 2 mineral lines. That's why he's so low in SCDs. He's building more now. But this aggression is just incredible. He's playing this so well. And for Curious, this is so dangerous. He doesn't even have that base. He does not have a macro hatch. He has no lava wolf. And this is a very lava costly composition that he uses.
Absolutely right. And here comes the attack on the hatchery. The Baneling hits here. Not good enough. The split, excellent for MarineKing. Widowmine's getting targeted down. One shot goes off on the mutas. And that may be all she wrote here for Curious. Forces a cancel once again. And this time, MarineKing is going to end it. GG!
MarineKing, he takes it. He is going into the last game of the day. He is going up against Swagger now. The least that he accomplished here is him being stuck in a 3-way tie. If MarineKing wins the next game, the last game of the day against Swagger, he is in the Premier League. If he loses against Swagger, MarineKing, Curious, and Swagger will play in a 3-way tie to find out who advances together with Dia.
What a great game there by MarineKing. Just constantly attacking, constantly being aggressive. And the idea of Curious was to go mutas and use the mutas to hold and then kill the army. He was hoping MarineKing was going to really commit. Because if he holds there with the Banelings and his mutas fly out, then he can go and harass. There's not a lot of Marines at home. But MarineKing just walked back. He was like, no, 3rd base, I'm going home.
Yeah, MarineKing definitely with really, really good Terran versus Zerg. This is like his best matchup these days, and it really shows.
It really shows.
Aggression that we've seen out of him, just controlling the map the entire time, that was so well done. And
that was MarineKing of old, you know, that was the aggressive MarineKing who's constantly attacking, never stopping.
And now I'm really excited to see him against Swagger. I feel that MarineKing can do it here, and he needs to, he has to feel really good about this. He's like, okay, I definitely screwed up again the game against Dia, but I kind of had it. I took down Curious just now. I won against Roro. This is my best matchup. I won it. Now it's one map that I have to win, and then I go to the Premier League. Everything goes into this one game. But the same is true for Swagger. Yeah. Swagger knows that if he loses this map, he is out. But if he wins it, he is going into a 3-way tiebreaker together with Curious and MarineKing.
Definitely true. This is MarineKing's moment. You know, he has to take this game. He takes it. He moves on. He's up against Swagger. So playing greedy is not really an option here. He needs to be careful, he needs to be defensive, and he needs to just play a good late game.
And Swagger already lost 2 of his games today. So he had a pretty good run in the match against Roro, but Roro is the punching bag of the group right now. Everyone won against Roro. And Dia would have played against Roro, but to be quite frank, with the PVZ that we've seen out of Dia and the ZVP that we've seen out of Roro, I kind of have a pretty good guess who would have won that game.
I think we all know who's picking the liquid bets on Swagger. It's probably nobody. I mean, everybody, sorry. Yeah. I said that backwards, but I feel like this
also messed up the plan.
I plan.
All right, it's fine. So what we're saying is that Dia would, of course, have been the high favorite in the match between Dia and Roro
because of the matchups they've had.
So the only player that Swagger won against is Roro,
and everybody won against Roro. So that's basically what we're saying here. But Swagger is crazy.
That's true.
He is crazy, and most people would have said Deer would not have won against MarineKing with the build that he showed. But MarineKing played a bit too greedy. This time he has to be safe. Better not salvage that bunker. He needs to make sure he gets a turret for DTs. He's got to be on Warp Prism watch.
You know, actually what Gerard should do in the team house, you know how you train dogs when you get like one of the water pistols and every single time they do something that they shouldn't, you just spray them? And Gerard should just sit in the team house at his own desktop, like watch the games of MarineKing every single time he salvages the bunker too fast or he doesn't scour, just like...
He shoots him in the face and like unplugs the computer, MarineKing looks at the screen, he's like... I'm sorry.
No, that's too much. Just water. That's how you train dogs. That's how he should like make MarineKing finally play a little bit safer. Don't play so greedy. Every single time he sees it, just a shot with a pistol. And at some point, MarineKing becomes the best player in the entire world because suddenly he scouts and he doesn't play too greedy.
I would love to just Gerard. He comes up and he just like puts his arm on MarineKing's shoulder. He's just no.
Don't do it.
Don't do that, man.
It would actually be funny, like in one of those fun spots. That would be really cool if they would do something like this. In real life, of course, never gonna happen.
MarineKing needs bunker drills. You know, you use drills in soccer where you dribble the ball between cones or something. MarineKing just needs to have a UMS map where he just builds only bunkers, and that's all he can do. The more bunkers he makes, the more points he gets. He gets used to the idea.
We love him, the way he plays, and we would, of course, love him to go into the Premier League. But the same is also true for the Protoss player that we have here. Swagger, a guy with a lot of history. MarineKing, I would say, the favorite to get into the Premier League today after the performance that we've seen so far. But he has to prove it in his Terran versus Protoss too. He has shown us that his TVZ is top-notch. What can we say about his TVP? Will Swagger be able to overwhelm him? Will win. Pretty big map.
Pretty big map, but anything is possible. Swagger, like, if he went one base carriers, it wouldn't even be a little bit surprised because it's him. Maybe he's figured out a way to make it work. Highly doubt it. MarineKing, if he takes this game, he is out of the group and into the Premier League. This is the up and down matches for WCS Korea with Calder and Wolf.